now we're going to jump into street class. So street class can be one of the most competitive classes overall at this event. Tons of people sign up for it. It's really going to bring out a lot of interesting cars, and we're definitely going to see as we go through the lineup of street class. All right, first up, we have Turner Dobbins. He's showing up with his 2020 Supra, making a whopping 670 brake horsepower. That's right, 670 horsepower in this Supra, going for gold. So as of right now, he has the best lap time of a 2:18, and he's hoping that he can get to a 2:15. This is a guy who has lots of experience. He's currently the NASA Texas TT director, so he knows how to time trial, and I hope he knows how to time attack, because it's going to be a battle to see if he can get to where everyone else is in street class. All right, now we got a fan favorite, Thomas Smith. He's coming to the town bringing his 2005 Subaru STI. He's been rocking this thing for, hell, as long as I can remember. He's got more experience than probably half the damn field. Not only, he probably has more experience with all of them combined. This guy's got 19 years experience. Hell, I remember him driving Tony the Tiger back in the day. He's got Subaru experience for days. He's pit crewing for himself. He's the driver. He's the everything on his team. He's going to be bringing the heat to everyone at that field. But you know what? His driving always does the talking. His mouth never does. He's always putting down the lap times. He's always putting in the work. You know this guy's going to bring it. He just came off of the finals win at Global Time Attack back in November. So he's definitely coming locked and loaded and ready to go. I'm pretty excited to see what this guy can do. So he did a 2-minute, 19-second lap back in 2022, and he's really hoping to get to the goal of a 2:17. He's pretty conservative about his lap times, so I think once he gets out there and once he starts competing with these guys, I'm hoping to see a 2:16 out of him. I think that's going to be right in the mix of the street class, and absolutely right street class all-wheel drive times. He's going to definitely be right where it needs to be. He's making around 550 horsepower. He's always smart with his tires. He's always smart with his setup. He's definitely somebody that you always have to watch out for. And, well, interestingly enough, he's one of the quietest guys out in the field. So keep an eye on him. Keep an eye on that Subaru. And let's hope that we can get this Subaru all through the weekend. So now we got Lelouch. He's coming to us, and he's going to bring in what else? A 2021 Toyota Supra. Now, I will say, in time attack terms, right now this car's only making around 400 wheel horsepower, which, as we talked about before with some of the other guys, the magic number is north of 550. So he's a little underpowered. Now, with that said, he's growing his experience level. He currently has a handful of SCCA track days and 2023 Super Lap Battle under his belt. So he's got a little bit of time. He did run a 240 at the last Super Lap Battle, but he's really hoping to knock down 15 seconds off that lap time and get to a 225. I think this is one of those cars that's in development. He's working with PhD Racing, and he's really getting his car sorted and getting it prepared for future endeavors. This is probably one of those guys you're going to want to watch and see how the development turns out over the course of next year and beyond. Now we're bringing to you another Toyota Supra. Big surprise here. So the Toyota Supra is definitely going to be one of the cars that you consistently see at any time attack event. They're just such a great car to bring. With that said, Isaac Torres is bringing his 2020 Toyota Supra with 600 wheel horsepower under its belt to this event. Now, he's never been to COTA before, but he is projecting a 220. To give some sort of idea, he did run a 152 at finals at last year, so that kind of gives you an idea of where he might stack up versus other Supras that have done this in the past. With that said, he has a turbo and some other things, so it'll be interesting to see his progression throughout the weekend. He's going to be one of those guys that kind of probably starts off at a higher lap time and is going to continue to chip away at the lap time throughout the weekend because he's going to be learning this track for the very first time. So keep an eye on him as he goes throughout the weekend. Hopefully he can manage his tires, bring enough tires, so we can really see how he progresses and is able to have tires at the very end to put in that final heater at the very last second. Now, with our first BMW entry, we have Mark Kilgore. He's pushing a good number, a 550 wheel horsepower out of this BMW. It's a BMW M4. Now, with that said, Mark doesn't have any lap times around COTA yet, so he's projecting he's going to do around a 228. With that said, Mark's going to have to really work and chip away at that pace, hoping to get exactly where he needs by the end. Now, with that said, he's got a lot of modifications to this car, and he's definitely going to be using his experience the last 8 years in time attack and various SCCA and grid life events into his advantage. It's a good amount of track time he's got under his belt, and I'm sure he understands how to use this car and get it prepared to go to battle in time attack land. All right, we have our second Subaru entry. Hopefully, it'll be the second Subaru entry to be able to cross the finish line on the last day with Corey Crowder. He's again showing up with that magic number of just over 500 wheel horsepower at 520. So he's got a 2008-ish hatchback. So he's got that nice little hatchback that they don't make anymore that everyone wishes they still made, but whatever. Is what it is. So he's been tracking this car for about 5 years. He's expecting to look around 230. I'm really hoping he can kind of pick that up a bit, as street class is going to be quite a bit further up the road from that. But without his time ever being there, he's probably being a little conservative with his expectations. With that said, he built his twin scroll custom setup. He's hoping that with that horsepower, he's able to not utilize any aero on his car. Where's the aero, man? And be able to slipstream down that back straightaway, maybe. All right, with our second BMW, we have Tim Turner showing up in his 2005 BMW M3. Now, apparently, at this time, he doesn't even know how much horsepower he's making. So, I don't even know what this guy's going to show up with. Maybe he'll show up with an LS all of a sudden. Who knows? But at the end of the day, this guy's got 3 years of time attack experience, HPD with grid life, and so on and so forth. He's basically showing up to COTA, never been there before, but he's hoping to go sub 240 on his very first go. Again, this is going to be one of those guys we're going to have to watch and see how he can progress throughout the weekend, see how he can manage his tires and various other consumables to see how he can improve his lap time throughout the weekend. Now, with that said, this is one of those situations where he's probably not going to have the most amount of power, is what I'm really going to assume. So it's going to be a situation where he's going to be playing a little bit of catch up in the back of the field at street class. But with that said, this is an awesome looking car, as you can see here. Gloriously good looking car. So I'm a big fan. If you show up with a livery, you already got my stamp of approval. So let's check out this car, see how it goes, and let's hope that he can bring home a better lap time than what he's thinking, which I think he can do. All right, so now probably the least modified car in street class, who's only there because of one simple rule, and that is you have to be the owner of the car to drive in enthusiast class. So Will Dries, he's going to be driving the Hyundai Elantra N that he's been driving, that he drove at finals in November. So this car actually threw down some impressive lap times at finals. So I'm not completely throwing this out there, but I will say it's only going to be making around 300 wheel horsepower. He doesn't even know, really. He's just stabbing in the dark because hasn't put it on a dyno or anything like that. But he's going to have a tune this time around, so he is going to have a number eventually. But for the most part, I mean, you're talking about a car that has like springs and a tune and some wider wheels. So not exactly a heavily modified car, but it's quick and Will's at the helm. So definitely something that he can set up, tune right, get rolling, and having a good time with. He is projecting to hopefully end up with just a top 5 in the front wheel drive in street class. Now, with that said, hard to say, right? The class is pretty stacked, a lot of guys in it. So we'll see what Will Dries and this Hyundai Elantra N can bring to the party.